Alright battlers, welcome back to a brand new Go Battle League video. In this video, BHaz uses a Shadow Hypno to go 24-1 in these rank 9 Go Battle League matches. You do not want to miss these awesome fights. Let's get into it. Jumping right into the first game of the video, he is taking on a trainer by the name of Nimbus. Now this Hypno is running Confusion, Shadow Ball, and Thunder Punch. The Shadow bonus is a very interesting facet that was just added to Pokemon Go. It does add 20% attack bonus to your Shadow Pokemon, but they lose 20% of your defensive strength as well. So it is a trade-off. It is a more offensively minded mindset when you're using these Shadow type Pokemon. Here comes a Flash Cannon, and as you can tell, Hypno in its base form is such a bulky Pokemon. Even its Shadow variant is able to tank a Flash Cannon with no problem. BHaz does swap out here into his own Registeel, and fully expecting a Focus Blast, he does decide to shield. He's going to attempt the farm down, and he's actually successful in it. So he does have some extra energy, but he has a huge hill to climb here, being down 2 shields to his opponent. He does force that first shield from this Azumarill, which is really nice, and then get to another Flash Cannon almost immediately. A Registeel with Lock On is still just, it's blindingly fast. Here comes a charge move from Azumarill. I'm expecting Hydro Pump just because there's so many Azumarills running around with Hydro Pump trying to bust these Registeels. He does land one more Flash Cannon though, taking that final shield. In comes Hypno, and a boosted Shadow Thunder Punch takes a nice chunk out of Azumarill. Out comes Clefable, and it's able to charm down that Hypno, no problem at all. He does have a win condition here with his Registeel, able to get to the Stab Flash Cannon here to bring down Clefable, and then he brings in it actually farms down a little bit more of this Azumarill, unable to get to a charge move. However, he does have a perfectly healthy Azumarill in the back. He's going to bring that in here, tank that Hydro Pump, no problem, and his opponent leaves the match. Going into game 2, BHaz's Shadow Hypno is going to face off here against Magneton. So Magneton is a Steel and Electric type Pokemon. You really wish you had Focus Blast in this situation here. BHaz is going to shield up that first Magnet Bomb as well. As you can tell though, those Confusions are just chunking down this Steel type Magneton, no problem. He does tank that second Magnet Bomb and then attempt to Confusion down and succeed. So he is down 1 shield, but he does have some charge energy ready to go. His opponent thinks things over and brings in Altaria. You don't know what elemental punch this Hypno has, but his opponent does predict correctly by shielding that Thunder Punch. He did have an opportunity there to go for the Shadow Ball, but not a big deal. He still lands that Thunder Punch, doing some great damage. Even though his Hypno is off of the battlefield here, you're just going to be reminded one more time of the strength of this Azumarill and Registeel core. Registeel comes in here, tanks this Hydro Pump, no problem, and then gets to the Flash Cannon. Now trainers, I know there have been a lot of jokes about BBML, basic meta lines in the Go Battle League, but we need to be familiar with these matchups and these Pokemon because they are also a big part of the Voyager Cup, which is the meta for the regionals. For the Sylph Arena for April. In comes the Altaria here, and he's going to go straight for the Flash Cannon. Pokemon like Registeel, Azumarill, and Altaria, you're going to see them all over the place in the Voyager Cup, so it's best to get really well acquainted with them if you're not already. He does undercharge the Ice Beam here, attempting to do a little bit of farming, but that Altaria just gets really chunked down by that. In comes the Azumarill to match his Azumarill, and the Hydro Pump is almost enough, but this game is basically over. His opponent does lag out, but it's GG's all the same. Going into the third game of the video, we see Hypno against Empoleon. Now, don't laugh. Empoleon is actually a great Pokemon in the Great League. It does win a lot of matchups against things like Registeel and Bastiodon. That waterfall damage is actually very potent. He does come in here with his Shadow Hypno, work up to the Shadow Ball, and then go straight for the Thunder Punch here. He does draw that first shield and then get another Thunder Punch. So with his Shadow Hypno, BHaz does a wonderful job of managing his energy. Confusion is such a slow move, and it really takes nerves of steel. You have to have ice in your veins to charge up those moves and then throw bluffs. It's just really challenging. So this Empoleon is going to get to another charge move. It will be the Hydro Cannon, and Azumarill, that little bunny, can tank it. Azumarill is going to go for an undercharge Ice Beam here, attempting to again undercharge there and get some energy together, but it doesn't work out. It's all good though, because the Ice Beam is going to land on this Altaria here. And this Altaria eventually farms down his Azumarill. Now, even though this Altaria's got a ton of energy loaded, Registeel doesn't need to worry about it. Dragon Pulse, Dazzling Gleam, Sky Attack, not a big deal. He's able to Confusion down Altaria, and then a very clutch play here to get the Thunder Punch on this Medicham. Now, this is not a good situation. If this Medicham has Dynamic Punch, this is pretty much GG's. BHaz makes a very, very ballsy move there, not shielding that Ice Punch. He does fire with the Flash Cannon here against Medicham, and he needs one more to win this match. He's going to go up for the Flash Cannon here and just barely get it. GG's for round 3. This is a player you might have heard of. Manaholics is a great trainer. He's going to lead his Shadow Hypno into Meganium. Meganium is getting a lot of love. A shout out to Caleb Ping for his anti-meta line with the Skarmory, Shiftry, and Meganium. Such an awesome team. But Meganium is such a bulky grass type, one that you will also see in the Voyager Cup, so definitely become familiar with that one as well. Meganium is going to get to another Frenzy Plant here, and Hypno can tank it. He is going to fire off another couple of Confusions and then go right for the Thunder Punch here. If this lands, it probably will KO, and it does not. He needs one more Confusion, but that Frenzy Plant is going to come through anyway. It does bring down the Hypno. BHaz loses switch priority, so up from here, it's going to be an uphill battle. BHaz will bring in his Azumarill here, farm up one bubble worth of energy on that Meganium, and now his opponent's going to think things over, and they decide to bring in Registeel. So obviously here, BHaz wants to land that Hydro Pump. He knows he can tank at least a couple of these Flash Cannons, so he's going to allow that one through, saving his shield for later. Out comes Azumarill, and he saves that energy and then swaps into his own Registeel. So we have a mirror of mirrors here. Both of these trainers are carrying a very core meta line in the back. He's going to fire off the first Flash Cannon here, taking a little chunk out of the Azumarill, but he's able to get to another one before his opponent gets to another attack. So this matchup right here is all about energy management, it's all about patience, and it's all about shield management here. So he's going to allow this Ice Beam to hit his Registeel, and his opponent makes a very bold move, swapping here into Registeel to catch this Flash Cannon. BHaz is not going to be outplayed though. He does come back in with his Azumarill, fire off the Hydro Pump, and he needs one more Hydro Pump to put the nail in the coffin of this Registeel. He is going to shield this Flash Cannon here from the Registeel and then work up to the Hydro Pump, fire this off. In comes that final Pokemon, the Azumarill, and even a play rough would not KO. He's able to get to a very clutch Ice Beam here at the last moment to win that game. Going into this match, that Shadow Hypno encounters Registeel. If you are a Registeel user and you see Hypno, I'm sure you're concerned about the Focus Blast. This Hypno, as we know, is just carrying Shadow Ball and Thunder Punch, but he's going to pretend like he's got the Focus Blast. He fires off 6 Confusions consecutively and then goes right here for the Thunder Punch, trying to burn that first shield, but he doesn't get it. His opponent does fire off the Flash Cannon here, bringing Hypno down into the yellow. He's going to go straight for the Shadow Ball here, really testing his opponent. It does not land though. His opponent does decide to shield, and he thinks about getting his Hypno out of there, but the timing doesn't work out. He has to shield that Flash Cannon, and then he's actually going to go for a Thunder Punch here, and I think at this range it might KO. His opponent does shield though, and he's going to be very ambitious, trying to catch the Flash Cannon here with his Registeel, and he does. In comes his opponent's Whiscash, and this is not a good situation for Registeel. Registeel does not want to see these Mud Bombs, but he's able to get to one Focus Blast to really take a chunk out of Whiscash and make it much more manageable for the rest of the Pokemon that he has in the back. He is almost able to get to a Flash Cannon. Very, very nice farming by his opponent. The Mud Bomb will bring down the Registeel, and now BHaz has choices. He does bring in his Azumarill here. One Ice Beam at this range will KO the Whiscash, but he's going to try to put a lot of hurt on this Azumarill. In comes the switch into Registeel, and BHaz is able to farm down the Registeel. In comes this Whiscash, and he sack swaps his Shadow Hypno. Bye-bye Hypno with the Mud Bomb. In comes his Azumarill, and he's going to undercharge this Ice Beam here, attempting to get some more energy together. It does work perfectly this time, and even though he has to take this Mud Bomb, he's got a boatload of energy to face whatever's in the back. He does land that Mud Bomb there, that bubble, and then out comes Altaria. Altaria is going to take this Ice Beam to the face, and then a couple more bubbles later, he gets to another Ice Beam, and this will be enough to win the game. Taking a look at this match, Shadow Hypno encounters Whiscash. Now, Whiscash is a very spammy Pokemon. We just saw it in the last match. These Mud Bombs are going to come fast and heavy, so BHaz is going to shield up this first Mud Bomb, hoping to encourage his opponent to shield. Out comes Registeel, and he goes straight for the Shadow Ball. His opponent does not shield, which tells me that his opponent doesn't have full comprehensive knowledge of Hypno's moveset, because if you were a Registeel user and you swap that in, you'd be really scared of a Focus Blast, as would I. So he does go for the Thunder Punch here, again trying to bait a shield out of his opponent, and he gets it. He makes a very smooth swap here into his own Registeel to catch the Flash Cannon, and now it is a lock-on race. So all he needs to do to win this mirror match is reach lock-on, and he's able to do it. He's going to fire this off here, bringing down the opposing Registeel. They are one shield each, but BHaz is up a Pokemon. In comes Whiscash, and he's got a little bit of residual energy, so getting to this Focus Blast shouldn't be a problem. He's going to take that first Mud Bomb and then go for his own Focus Blast here. That will go unshielded. His opponent does swap into Haunter, and out comes Azumarill. So Azumarill versus Haunter is a tricky matchup. Haunter can shred so many things in the Go Battle League meta. A lot of people are really trying to master Haunter these days. I run into a lot of them in practice, and they're very hard to deal with. This Azumarill is going to get slashed down by those Shadow Claws pretty quickly. In comes another attack. It will be Shadow Punch. That's enough to bring down Azumarill, but BHaz has a deadly Hypno here. He's going to bring that in, and 1.5 confusions is almost going to erase Haunter, but he has to let Hypno go here and save his final shield. Attempting to lock down this Haunter, and he's almost able to do it. He's got to get there, trainers, if he's going to win this one, and he barely does. He's got a ton of energy. In comes one more Focus Blast, and Registeel with the 1 HP victory. Going into this game, Hypno into Skarmory. So we're seeing tons of different leads in this video. I really love the utility that BHaz expresses with his Shadow Hypno. He's going to shield up this first attack from the Skarmory, farm up a couple more confusions here, really taking his time. He does go for the Thunder Punch, and again, trainers, you don't know what elemental punch this Hypno is packing. He's going to fire off a second Thunder Punch consecutively, and that takes both of his opponent's shields. In comes Registeel, and he attempts to make a really smooth swap into another Pokemon, but he's going to have to shield up this Focus Blast. He does decide to stay in here with his Hypno and fire off the Shadow Ball, chunking down the Registeel, and then swaps into his Azumarill. So the switch timer still has a ton of time left. Registeel is not going to be able to escape this battle anytime soon. He's going to fire off several bubbles and then go right here for the Hydro Pump. Maybe an opportunity to go for the Ice Beam there with the KO, but it would have been very close. In comes the opposing Azumarill, and things just got more interesting. He's going to attempt to fire off his Hydro Pump here, but Azumarill gets to a play rough. This is a play rough, and what we can only assume Ice Beam Azumarill, so this matchup is going to be in favor of his opponent. BHaz here trying to get to another charge move, attempting the swap, but the timing is not quite perfect. Down goes his Azumarill, out comes his Hypno, in comes this Skarmory. Now Skarmory is going to Sky Attack Hypno, that will be more than enough. In comes Registeel, and it's all up to the big silver trash can Reggie. Reggie is going to take whatever attack this is. It will be a Sky Attack, charge up a little extra energy on the Skarmory here, and go straight for the Focus Blast. Now hopefully the work he did earlier is going to put this Azumarill in a position where he can KO the Flash Cannons, but it's going to take more than one. He's going to try to get up here, and we know this is a play rough and most likely Ice Beam Azumarill, and it is. With no Hydro Pump, Azumarill has nowhere to run. In comes a Flash Cannon, and Reggie claims another one. Jumping into this video, we do see Shadow Hypno facing off against Haunter. Haunter is going to devastate with those Shadow Claws, but look at that. Confusion is just really, really overpowered. In comes Bastiodon, and again, he's going to make a beautiful swap here into his Azumarill to catch this Stone Edge. Azumarill is carrying Hydro Pump, so this is not a farm down situation. He's going to attempt to get a little residual energy and then get this Bastiodon off the battlefield. That Hydro Pump does land. One more bubble will do the trick. His opponent does decide to bring in Haunter again, and BHaz just needs to take shields away from this Haunter so that the confusions can do their work. He's going to fire off that first Ice Beam. Haunter's going to get to a charge move, and at this health range, with Haunter with that much energy, there's no need to save it. He's going to decide to bring in his Hypno here, and he must shield these attacks from Haunter. He's going to fire off one Confusion and melt Haunter into oblivion. In comes Medicham, and again, being very patient with his Hypno play, he baits with the Thunder Punch and then goes directly for the Shadow Ball. This is going to devastate this Medicham, being a boosted attack. He needs one more Confusion to put an end to it, so he's going to shield up his Hypno with his final shield and Confusion down. In this game, Hypno encounters Scizor. Now, Hypno needs to get out of this matchup immediately. That is not a good situation for him to be in. He does bring in his Azumarill here to face off against the Scizor. Scizor, a bug and steel type Pokemon, has a very interesting skill set. In comes Whiscash, and this is a spam fest. This Whiscash is going to fire off these Mud Bombs. Ice Beam is not going to match the pace of Mud Bomb, so when you're in this matchup, trainers, you need to be very, very wary. Here comes BHaz with the Hydro Pump. Will it land? Go Battle Lag. And it does, taking a huge chunk out of this Whiscash here. Whiscash is going to go for another Mud Bomb, and this will do a bit of chip damage, but Azumarill can tank it just fine. Hoping to farm down with the bubbles there, but it's not going to happen for him. He has to shield up one Mud Bomb, and now both trainers have one shield at their disposal. In comes Jirachi. He's going to go straight for the Hydro Pump here, hoping to call the bluff, and he does. That Hydro Pump goes unshielded. In comes Registeel. Jirachi's going to fire off a Doom Desire here, which does a little chunk to Registeel, and then BHaz's opponent switches into their Scizor. So Scizor really can't do much here against a Focus Blast from Registeel. He's going to shield that first one, but anything short of a devastating attack against Registeel is not going to one-shot it, and in this situation, his opponent leaves. Going to this game against Venusaur, this is what you love to see, battlers. These confusions are going to take a huge chunk. In comes Medicham, and I want to make this point, trainers. Even though his Hypno could have defeated the Medicham, because he's aware of the Venusaur in the front, BHaz does swap into his Azumarill because Azumarill makes a great Medicham counter, and he does not want to be in a situation where his Azumarill faces off against Venusaur. Sometimes you have one Pokemon that can answer two Pokemon on your opponent's team, but you need to be careful about how you position your Pokemon so that you don't end up in a situation where you are at a disadvantage later in the match. So he does fire off the Hydro Pump here, which does get shielded. In comes that Venusaur, and he switches immediately into Hypno. We know Hypno can take one Frenzy Plant, but BHaz is going to shield here early on and watch those confusions chunk down this Venusaur. Now out of shields, he's forced to take this Frenzy Plant, which he does. Shadow Hypno pulls through though with that one last confusion. Shadow Ball is going to destroy this Medicham here, which it does, and he fires up a Thunder Punch, and Hypno is going crazy in this game. This is really, really insane. Hypno finally off the battlefield, but his opponent has to be feeling it. He's going to fire off a Flash Cannon here against the Azumarill. And then one more Flash Cannon is all that's needed to wrap up this match. Really wonderful use of Hypno in this set. I loved this match. It was one of my favorites. One more Flash Cannon. Azumarill is within KO range. GG's. Go Battle Lag. BHaz claiming his rewards, going up against Dark Paladin. This is a trainer that a lot of you are aware of, a very, very talented trainer. He's going to fire off a few confusions here against the Azumarill, and BHaz made it a point to let me know before I posted the video that Hypno can beat Azumarill in the two shields. He does correctly shield that Hydro Pump, so the gamble for Dark Paladin did not pay off. He's going to fire off a Thunder Punch here, and then another one in rapid succession, back to back. Thunder Punch puts a ton of pressure on Azumarill, taking it down. BHaz has one switch priority. He has lost only one shield, and out comes Umbreon. So a great answer for the Hypno, and then Registeel comes out to answer this Azumarill. So the Azumarill, again, is packing the Hydro Pump. With this team composition, I do think Hydro Pump is the right move, especially when you're pairing it with Registeel and Hypno, because Azumarill has done such great work for this team so far in the video. Registeel does get to another charge move here, and BHaz has his eyes on the clock. He is watching the switch timer. He's going to bait here with an Ice Beam, trying to convince his opponent that he's firing off the Hydro Pump, switches into his Registeel, and out comes Umbreon. This trainer, Dark Paladin, has to realize that he is out of space to run. This Registeel is going to get to these Focus Blasts, and I think it only needs maybe one or two at this range to KO this Umbreon. He does fire off the first one here, and it does get shielded. Going up for a second one, just need to survive probably one more foul play, which I'm sure Registeel can do. He does. In comes the Focus Blast here against the Umbreon. Will it be enough to KO? And it's not. Umbreon is still a great Pokemon. In comes Azumarill, and he has that energy from earlier. Ice Beam is going to do a nice little chunk to this Umbreon. Out comes that Registeel, and after this Flash Cannon, Azumarill can bubble down. Taking a look at this battle, Shadow Hypno versus Shadow Scizor. He's got to get out of there as soon as possible. As you can probably tell, this Scizor is running Bullet Punch. The Scizor earlier in the video was running Fury Cutter. Night Slash is going to do a little chunk to Azumarill, but it will be resisted. Fairy versus Dark. In comes Jirachi, and this opponent has a very spicy team. I'm really loving these picks here. BHaz electing to go first for the Ice Beam. Doom Desire will come in here and almost take down his Azumarill, but he's able to get to one Hydro Pump here. Hydro Pump is going to bring down the Jirachi. His opponent's not using either shield, but in comes that Scizor, and out comes Registeel to answer. So Scizor, again, doesn't have any hard-hitting moves that could really erase this Registeel, and although it's going to get to its moves pretty quickly with Bullet Punch, it's not quite as fast as Fury Cutter. So this Registeel is going to go up here for the Flash Cannon, just saving a marginal amount of energy here. But because this Scizor is Shadow Form, it might actually be enough to KO. In comes the Whiscash here, and he's going to go straight for the Focus Blast, and he's got to get out of there. You do not want to get hit by those Mud Bombs. And look at Shadow Hypno putting in work with these confusions. Blizzard is going to get shielded. Very, very nice call by BHaz there to shield the Blizzard. He knows this is a Mud Bomb, so he's not going to give his last shield to the Whiscash. In comes that Scizor again, and here's a charge attack, probably a Night Slash, which it is. Scizor does not get the boost, which is really, really good. I think BHaz is really close to another Thunder Punch as well. In fact, he's already got it. So he does fire that off, and that is GG's. Going into this match, we see Shadow Hypno versus Skarmory again. So Skarmory, again, needing to be very wary of elemental punches like Thunder Punch and a Focus Blast. He's going to shield this first attack, which will be a Sky attack. Hypno's going to get a little more energy together. Out comes Alolan Raichu, and watch this, trainers. BHaz is going to allow this through and then fire off this Thunder Punch, being extremely patient with his play here. It's just so incredible, and then go right for his Shadow Ball here. This will smack that Raichu. Super effective one-shot. In comes Skarmory here, pushing for the Thunder Punch, but he doesn't quite get there. That's okay because BHaz's Meta Core is going to kick in here and clean up the rest of this match. He does bring in his Registeel here just in case there's anything more flexible in the back, and lo and behold, it's a Whiscash. He does go here for the Flash Cannon, saving a little bit of energy, hoping for a shield, but he doesn't quite get it. He's going to bail out here into his Azumarill and tank this Mud Bomb, but this Whiscash already has energy ready, and this Azumarill needs to hit it with at least 2 Ice Beams, I believe, to bring this Whiscash down. Whiscash outpacing Azumarill here, getting to another Mud Bomb. He's going to try to go up for the Ice Beam here, maybe try to bait a shield away from his opponent. And he does, and then trying to go for the second Ice Beam, but out comes Skarmory. BHaz deciding to shield here. I think he's going to swap into his Registeel. He's going to save that energy on Azumarill because he knows that's his best chance to deal with this Skarmory here. Firing off the Flash Cannon here just so he can get a little extra energy. In comes the Whiscash, and the walls are closing in on his opposing trainer. That Whiscash is going to get off a Mud Bomb, but this is a very, very close game. Registeel almost able to lock down, and it does. Going to the last battle of the video against Starshop, that Hypno leads into Registeel, and again, trainers, you have to be concerned about Focus Blast, but BHaz is going to play this in his own way. He's going to shield up the first Flash Cannon here, and then fire off a few more confusions, being very patient again with his play. Go for the Thunder Punch here, trying to draw the first shield away from the Registeel, and he gets it. So this opponent, I believe, realizes that this Hypno might have Focus Blast at its disposal. He's going to go straight for the Shadow Ball here. And this move is actually going to go unshielded, which is really great. He's going to fire off a few more confusions, and BHaz, wanting to win switch priority, is going to shield this final Flash Cannon and then confusion down the Registeel. So overpowered. A Shadow Hypno is just ridiculous. In comes Altaria, and he's going to go straight for this Thunder Punch here. I think he might have enough in the bank for a second one. and he does. Here comes the second Thunder Punch from the Shadow Hypno, again setting up the rest of his team very, very well. Shadow Hypno made for a wonderful lead in this video. I really hope you enjoyed these battles. BHaz is a member of Team Invent, a competitive PvP team, and he is making waves, an awesome trainer with an insane Go Battle League rating. He did really well in Season 1, just an awesome battler, and I'm really, really appreciative that he let me shoutcast this footage here. So we know what's going to happen here. We've seen this meta match play out a ton in this video, but trainers, I highly encourage you, if you are bored of these matches, try to get a little more inspired, because the Voyager Cup is going to have these games a lot. Getting 1 or 2 bubbles here or there, firing off the Focus Blast, firing off the Flash Cannon instead of Focus Blast to save energy, it could all come back to help you in the end. So definitely take notes from BHaz's incredible play. It was a real pleasure to shoutcast this footage. He does fire off one more Ice Beam to wrap up that game. GG's. Battlers, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and then subscribe to see more Go Battle League and Sofa Rita content coming very soon.